All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are tackling the very first and, maybe the most counterintuitive law in the entire game of power. It's a rule that pretty much goes against everything we're ever taught about, showing off our talents to get ahead. Think about that for a second. It's a wild question, isn't it? The idea that the one thing you're best at, that skill you've poured your heart and soul into developing, could actually be the very thing that leads to your downfall. That's the exact paradox we're going to unpack today. So first up, we need to understand this unspoken rule of power. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of why showing everyone how brilliant you are can sometimes be a really, really dangerous move. And here it is, the law itself. Now, this isn't just about not ticking off your boss. No, it's a proactive strategy. The whole point is, when you make your masters look better, smarter, more brilliant than they are, you become indispensable. But the moment you make them feel insecure or threatened by your talents, you suddenly become a problem. And problems, well, they get solved. To really see what happens when you get this law wrong, we have to look at one of history's greatest examples. Let's talk about a party to die for, and the tragic, cautionary tale of a man named Nicolas Fouquet. So the year is 1661, and Fouquet can feel it. His position with King Louis XIV is getting shaky. So what does he do? He decides to make this grand, unforgettable gesture to prove his loyalty and just how valuable he is. He plans to throw a party for the king at his brand new, magnificent chateau, a party that people would still be talking about centuries later. And listen, the scale of this thing was just mind-blowing. It wasn't just a party, it was an absolute spectacle. I mean, imagine a 7-course dinner featuring foods no one in France had ever tasted. Gardens so incredible they've become the blueprint for Versailles. And to top it all off, the premiere of a brand new play by Molière, the most famous playwright of the age. Fouquet literally held nothing back. The party was an unbelievable hit with the guests, but not with the one guest that actually mattered. The very next day, the king's head musketeer shows up and arrests Fouquet. He was put on trial for embezzlement, likely trumped-up charges, and he spent the final 20 years of his life in a dungeon. Just like that, a complete and utter reversal of fortune. And here's where it all went wrong. You see the massive gap in perception. Fouquet thought he was showing his value. He thought he was saying, look how much I can do for you. But King Louis didn't see that at all. He saw a rival, someone with better taste, more wealth, and a more magnificent home. Every single amazing detail of the party didn't flatter the king. It just screamed that Fouquet was better, and it made the king feel small and deeply insecure. Okay, so that's how you get it catastrophically wrong. Now, let's flip the script and see how to do it right. Let's look at Galileo's absolutely brilliant strategy for making his master shine. Galileo's situation, you gotta understand, was totally precarious. He was one of the greatest minds of his time, no doubt, but his groundbreaking research depended entirely on the whims and generosity of rich patrons. He was living a life of constant insecurity, always having to hustle for support. He knew he needed a better way. And this is his masterstroke. It's 1610, and he discovers the moons of Jupiter, a huge scientific breakthrough. But instead of just announcing his finding, he spins this incredible story. He cleverly links his discovery to the all-powerful Medici family, whose symbol happened to be the god Jupiter. He frames the 4 moons as 4 brothers, the Medici brothers, revolving around the family's founder. He didn't just give them a fact, he gave them a cosmic tribute. And the result? Boom, a full-time salary and a permanent end to his money problems. And this quote just says it all. This is the absolute key. Galileo didn't just tiptoe around his patrons' egos. He used his own brilliance to make them look brilliant. By tying the Medicis to the heavens themselves, he gave them a kind of glory that no amount of money could ever buy. He amplified their star power and, of course, they rewarded him handsomely for it. So, we've seen the history. We've seen Fouquet's epic failure and Galileo's genius success. But how does this actually apply to us? Let's break down some practical tactics for navigating any modern hierarchy, whether you're talking about the office, a creative team, or really any organization at all. First off, a couple of major warnings. You don't have to throw a world-class party to break this law. Sometimes just being too charming or too naturally gifted can make an insecure superior feel totally threatened. And second, never ever assume that just because you're the favorite, you're safe. The second you take your position for granted, you start to look arrogant. And in the world of power, that's just unforgivable. Now, the most powerful tool you have here is what we'll call discreet flattery. See, obvious compliments can sound fake and manipulative, but subtle actions that reinforce your master's intelligence or their importance, those are way more effective because they feel genuine. So here's how you can actually put this into practice. Let's say you have a fantastic idea. Don't just present it. Instead, mention how something they said inspired it. If you know more about a subject, play a little naive and ask for their advice to make them feel wise. It's all about managing perceptions. Your job is to make them the sun, and you need to be content, at least for now, to be a less brilliant star in their orbit. But, and this is a huge but, like any rule of power, this one is not absolute. True mastery of the game comes from knowing not just how to follow the rule, but also knowing exactly when it's smart to break it. Because believe me, there is a time and a place for you to shine. And really, this all comes down to cold, hard logic. You have to be able to gauge your master's strength. If they are secure and firmly in power, you make them shine. Simple as that. But if they are weak, if they're a falling star, then tying your fate to theirs is a huge mistake. In that case, you have to be prepared to discreetly let your own light shine a little brighter and let nature take its course. And this right here is the ultimate lesson. This isn't about being a doormat or hiding your talents forever. Not at all. It's about strategy. By consciously choosing to manage the egos and insecurities of those above you, you are the one who stays in control of the dynamic. You are playing the long game, just waiting for the perfect moment to make your move and rise. And remember this, it's not just a law of power. It is law number one. It's the foundation that all the other strategies are built on. If you get this one wrong, trust me, nothing else is going to matter. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. In your own life, in your own career, when you walk into a room, whose ego are you feeding and whose are you threatening? In the great game of power, who are you making shine?